Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mano, could I have the book? Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, this is German, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, so while we wait for the book, I thought we can already give a little bit of a summary of where we are in the Chaitanya Caritamrita. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking with Sanatana Goswami and is describing the process of devotional service, right? He starts from the very beginning. Thank you so much. And he goes through all the different parts, how one can separate himself from material entanglement, how the different processes of devotional service work, how the process of devotional service brings one to Krishna gradually. All these different parts are there. So now Mahaprabhu is on the point that how rare devotional service is in this material world. So he's stressing this point, and a few verses is there on this topic. So today we are on verse 54 and 55. Right? Chapter 22, text 54. Okay, yeah, sure. It's just that I prepared for a different verse. I guess, I don't know. When I typed it in, maybe it came a different one. No problem. Okay. So, reading from Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 54. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastra Khaye. Lava matra sadhu sange sarva siddhi haye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Mataji's? Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrikhaye. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaye. Okay, word for word. Sadhu Sangha. Association with pure devotees. Sarva Shastre. All the revealed scriptures. Kaya. Say. Lava Matra. Even for a moment. Sadhu Sangha. By association with devotee. Sarva Siddhi. All success. Haya. There is. Translation. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that even by a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. Purport. According to the astronomical calculations, a lava is 1/11 of a second. 1/11. So that's really a moment. Okay, now we'll also read text 55. Tulayama lavanapi na svargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utashiya shishaha. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. Purport by His Divine Grace. This is a quotation from Srimad-Bhagavatam 1:18-13. This verse concerns the Vedic rites and sacrifice performed by the great sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. The sages point out that association with a pure devotee for even less than a second is beyond comparison to a thousand Vedic rituals or sacrifices, elevation to heavenly planets, or merging into the existence of the Supreme. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai. Homa Yajna timirandasya jnanam janashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Budale Srimate Indranuna Swami Namne. Namo Prabhupada Prisa Jagannatha Yatanandamurti Bhakti Sukhena Krishna Kirtanena Narasimhena Rakshataya Namaha. Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangulam gaide girim yakripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyamishwaram. Okay, so I accidentally prepared for very different verses, but no issue, the points are the same. This is very good. Okay, so we come in this chapter, Mahaprabhu is already finished describing the rarity of devotional service, and he is beginning to describe how the only way how one can attain devotional service is by the association of Vaishnavas. So only by association of Vaishnavas and by the mercy of the Vaishnavas can one come to the process of devotional service. And in the previous verses, he's describing how by the association of Vaishnavas, one becomes disinterested in material life. And only by association of Vaishnavas does that happen. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami quote in this connection a verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam 10:51-53. The verse goes, Bhava pavargo brahmato yada pawej janasya tar yachuta sat samagama sat sangamo har yarhita daiva sat katau paravareshe tvai mati. So the translation goes, when the material life of a wandering soul is ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens in him devotion unto you, who are the goal of the devotees of the Lord and the cause of all their effects. So in the purport, Prabhupada points out that Acharya Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur agree on the following point. Because in this translation, it makes it seem that when the material life finishes, then he gets into the association of devotees, and then he awakens love for you, right? It says, when the material life of a wandering soul ceases, right, he may attain the association of your devotees, right? So it seems like it's the opposite of what we always hear. It seems like it's the opposite, that first the material life ceases, and then he gets association. But Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur agree and correct this point. They don't correct this, that they point out that this is what's called in the Kavya Prakash. So this is basically the manual for all poets. It says there's a certain statement which is in logical order, the cause and its effect are reversed. So when the cause is so great, then the effect can be given before it. You understand? So this is a poetic license that's given. So Jiva Goswami is talking this. It says, Karya karnayos chapurvaparya viparyayo vigyayatishayokti syatsa. So it's a statement in which the logical order of the cause and its effects is reversed should be understood as atishayokti. Emphasis by extreme assertion. So because it's so important, they put the source before the cause, right? The effect before the cause. So this will happen to you when this happens. So this is a certain way of writing. And so Jiva Goswami is saying that Srila Vyasadeva in this purport, in this verse, he's putting first the effect and then the cause to emphasize the importance of the cause, which is association with devotees. So by association with devotees, one's material life, attachment to material life is stopped. So this is a very important verse for that reason, same as we mentioned today, that by the association of devotees, even for a moment, such great benefit can be derived, right? Unimaginable, greater than any material sacrifice, religious performance, anything that you can imagine, it cannot equal to even a moment. Lava matra means even a moment association with a pure devotee. So in this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that the merciful association of the Lord's devotees make possible our determination to become Krishna conscious. And the Acharya agrees with Srila Jiva Goswami that in this verse, the instance of Atishayukti is used. So this instance of reversing the effect and the cause is used. Yeah? So Kaviraj Goswami, when he was writing Chaitanya Caritamrita, he quoted this verse. But for us to make sure we don't get misunderstand the point, then Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur give the purport to this verse. That they're using this element of Atishayukti when you switch the effect and the cause. So this point of association with devotees being the cause of our cessation in interest in material life is the main point of the verses today. And today I also wanted to speak about the pastime that will happen tomorrow, which is Panihati. Panihati is probably the greatest festival and the greatest instance where this principle was shown. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, only when he got the mercy of the devotees, then was he able to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So I'll give a short summary of the pastime leading up to this point. So Sri Raghunath Das Goswami was born in the family of very great landowners. Back then in Bengal, the landowners were like kings. And so his father was Govardhan Majumdar, and his uncle was Hiranya Majumdar. And they were great businessmen. In that area of Bengal, Saptagram, was the entrance to all the ships that would come into Bengal in that way. So it was the main port of trade in that part of India at that time. And so it says that their annual income was 1,200,000 rupees, which are gold coins. So nowadays you can only imagine the wealth that was coming to them. That was back then, what to speak of now, right? It was billions and billions and billions of dollars they were getting annually. And so they're extremely wealthy. And it said that in that whole area of Bengal, all the brahmanas were being maintained by that family. And Advaita Acharya, being one of the brahmanas in that area, he also had very nice dealings with Govardhan Majumdar, the father of Raghunath Das Goswami. And it was through Advaita Goswami and Haridas Thakur that Raghunath Das Goswami first came in contact with the process of devotional service. And when he first started to hear about the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this desire began to grow in the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami that there must be something more to this material life than what we always hear. You know, make money, have a nice family, take care of your family, and then die. He thought there must be something more. So finally, by the mercy of Advaita Acharya, he was able to see Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu came to Shantipur. Shantipur isn't that far from Panihati. So he traveled, with the permission of his father, he traveled to the house of Advaita Acharya, and there he got to see Mahaprabhu, and by the extreme mercy of Advaita Acharya, he got to have the Mahaprasad remnants of Mahaprabhu. He got to serve Mahaprabhu in any way he could, and he stayed there for 7 days. And during those 7 days, he started to have very intense desires to give up everything and go with Mahaprabhu, traveling, and go to Vrindavan, and go to Jagannath Puri. So the verse goes in Chaitanya Caritamrita that Raghunath Das Goswami is thinking thus. It says, Raghunath Das thought, how shall I be able to get free from the hands of the watchmen? Because Raghunath Das Goswami had many guards guarding him. I mean, he was a prince, pretty much. So how will I be able to get free from the watchmen? How shall I be able to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Nilachala, to Jagannath Puri? He's thinking like this. Since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient, he could understand Raghunath Das's mind. The Lord therefore instructed him with the following reassuring words. Be patient and return home. Don't be a crazy fellow. By and by you'll be able to cross the ocean of material existence. You should not make yourself a show-bottle devotee and become a false renunciate. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, within your heart you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally you may behave like an ordinary man. Thus Krishna will soon be pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. You may see me at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, when I return after visiting Vrindavan. By that time, you can think of some trick to escape. Yeah, so Mahaprabhu gave this instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami when they met there in Shantipur. But you see, Mahaprabhu is instructing him not to be a crazy fellow, a show bottle devotee, just giving something up without really understanding what you're doing or really understanding what you're getting into. So Mahaprabhu obviously must have sensed that in Raghunath Das Goswami's heart there was still some uncertainty. All right, there was still, this is why he gives the word in Bengali, the word he used was the monkey renunciation. And Prabhupada, even sometimes when he quotes this pastime, he uses that word. Monkey renunciation. It means just leaping from one place to another without actually doing anything of substance. Right? Fakely giving up something when actually there's attachment. So Mahaprabhu tells him not to be a show bottle devotee, that it just looks very nice, and inside there's nothing of substance. Yeah? And he's saying that in your heart you should be very faithful, but outwardly behave as normal. Right? Enjoy this material world in a befitting way, while internally you will start developing higher attraction to the Lord, right? So, Raghunath Das Goswami returned home and following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he got married. His parents were very happy about that because he was becoming more and more impatient to leave home, that his parents were getting worried, so they were pressuring him to get married, to start a business, to be involved in the family business. And so following Mahaprabhu's instructions, he got married, he stayed at home, he took care of the family business. There's many pastimes. At one point even he was put in jail because his uncle was, taking money from what he was supposed to give to the government, and he was caught. So because they couldn't catch the uncle, they caught Raghunath Das Goswami and they put him in jail. But Raghunath Das Goswami, with his expert philosophy and his expert dealings with the watchmen, with the Muslim captures, they let him go. He sorted the situation out. Jai Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Shrimati Bhagwan Ki Jai. Until finally, Raghunath Das Goswami heard that Nityananda Prabhu was coming to Panihati, which is nearby his Saptagram area. So he got a desire that I should go see Nityananda Prabhu. So because he was taking care of the family so well in the family business, when he asked his father, can I go see Nityananda Prabhu? His father agreed, no problem. Of course, his guards and his servants still went with him, but he agreed. So Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami, he went there to the bank of the Ganga at Panihati. And from very far, he could see that Nityananda Prabhu was sitting there underneath a beautiful banyan tree with all of his devotees. And Raghunath Das Goswami, from very far away, he paid obeisances because he thought he was unfit to come close to Nityananda Prabhu, being a materialistic person as he is. So Nityananda Prabhu didn't notice Raghunath Das Goswami, but one of the devotees said, Nityananda Prabhu, there's Raghunath. He's paying obeisances to you from afar. And so Nityananda Prabhu said, go get him, he's a thief. He must come here, I have to punish him. So Bhakti-Charya Maharaj points this statement of Nityananda Prabhu out and explains there's two meanings to this word that you're a thief. The first meaning is that he was taking Nityananda Prabhu's mercy from far, right? From far away he was paying obeisances without coming in front and being properly seen and interacted with, right? He's just taking the mercy from far. But Bhakti-Charya Maharaj says another point, and should be the bigger point, is that he was trying to approach Mahaprabhu without getting the mercy of the devotees and without getting the mercy of, more important, Nityananda Prabhu. So therefore, he's not going through the proper channels, and therefore he wasn't able to attain the mercy of Mahaprabhu, because he didn't get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and the devotees. Right? Therefore, he was not able to be released from the clutches of material entanglement. So Nityananda Prabhu came to Shantipur for that specific purpose, to give mercy to Raghunath Das Goswami. And what did Nityananda Prabhu do? He told him that you have to make a feast as punishment, right? You have to make a feast to all these devotees, for all these devotees, because you're a thief. So Nityananda Prabhu ensured that Raghunath Das Goswami got the mercy of all the devotees, and therefore he would be able to be released from the clutches of material existence. So this pastime is such an important instance of this principle, that only by the mercy of the devotees can one truly be freed from this material life. Yeah? So Raghunath Das Goswami very happily, he was in bliss to get the service from Nityananda Prabhu. He collected all the chipped rice in the market. Nityananda Prabhu told him that you should serve them with chipped rice and yogurt. Why those two ingredients? Because if you're in India right now, it wouldn't be much of a question. In India right now, 40, 42 degrees during the day. So nice fresh yogurt with chipped rice and bananas and camphor that's very cooling. These ingredients are very nice to eat, especially in the hot day. So Raghunath Das Goswami went to the market and collected in the entire Panihati all the chipped rice, yogurt, and sweet things he could find. Then from other markets, people heard that there's a guy buying everything you have, so they came running with their bullock carts with all their ingredients, and Raghunath Das Goswami bought that also. Then in the huge pots, he soaked first all the chipped rice in milk, and then when it was nice and soft, half he mixed with yogurt and banana, and the other half with kheer, camphor, and butter. Yeah? And along with this, there were so many fruits and sandesh and gulab jamuns, anything he could buy in the market, he was distributing to the devotees. But the main was these two preparations. And so in clay pots, he was putting these two and giving them to the devotees, giving. And so many people came to eat. It said all the brahmanas came, and then all the people who came to the market to sell to Raghunath Das Goswami also came and then ate. So basically the entire Panihati was sitting down and eating prasadam with Raghunath Das Goswami and Nityananda Prabhu. It was so many devotees that even in the Ganga, they were sitting and the pots were floating in the Ganga and they were eating like that from the Ganga. There were so many devotees. So Nityananda Prabhu, he changed his clothes, he took bath and changed, and then he came and he began to take little bit of prasadam from all the devotees' pots and eating it. And Nityananda Prabhu went into such ecstasy in this festival that he thought that Caitanya Mahaprabhu is missing out. Caitanya Mahaprabhu is not here and he's going to miss out on this wonderful festival. So with his divine love, he called Mahaprabhu from South India to come and be present during this festival. So Mahaprabhu came in his subtle form, and only very few devotees got the mercy to see him. Raghava Pandit, Raghunath Das Goswami, Advaita Acharya was there. Few other very intimate associates of Mahaprabhu were there, and they were able to see. But everybody else, what they saw is Nityananda Prabhu taking some rice and putting it somewhere, and it would disappear. They wouldn't see, but everyone who could see would see him feeding Mahaprabhu in his mouth all the chipped rice. And then Mahaprabhu would take some and put it in Nityananda Prabhu's mouth. And like that, they were walking through the lines and eating from everyone's pots this nice chipped rice and yogurt. And at the same time, every few minutes, Nityananda Prabhu would say, chant Hari Hari, chant Hari Hari. And so it says that the whole world, the whole universe was resounding with the chanting while this feast was happening. And Lokanath Maharaj, he points out that in this instance, that's why also we have in the song, right, say Anamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao. That while you're eating this beautiful prasadam, you should be chanting the names of the Lord. Right? About Radha and Krishna, you should be chanting. Then you can fully appreciate this mercy that comes in the form of prasadam. So this pastime is another instance of this pastime, of this song. So after Nityananda Prabhu did all his rounds and ate from everyone's pots, he sat down. Him and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down under the tree, and Raghava Pandit came to Nityananda Prabhu and said that, my dear Lord, I have made a huge feast at my house for your lunch. Please come home and eat. And Nityananda Prabhu said, no, I am a cowherd boy. And so I will eat your prasadam later. Right now I want to eat with my friends on the bank of the Ganga. And so he got 2 pots for himself, and him and Mahaprabhu were eating from those 2 pots together. And only those very special devotees could see this. So they're eating from the pots, and when it was almost done, they gave these 2 pots to Raghunath Das Goswami, and he got to eat the remnants. Then Nityananda Prabhu rested for some time, and then Raghava Pandit brought all the prasadam from his house. And Nityananda Prabhu sat and ate all that prasadam as well. And the remnants of that prasadam went to Raghunath Das Goswami again. So Raghunath Das Goswami had so much remnants on that day, so much mercy. And so then that evening everyone went to rest, and the next day Nityananda Prabhu came, and then Raghunath Das Goswami came, and this is when Raghava Pandit gave the prasadam to Raghunath Das Goswami. It says, Raghava Pandit, being very merciful towards Raghunath Das, offered him the dishes that were with the remnants, food that were left by the two brothers. Yeah, Raghava Pandit said to Raghunath Das Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has eaten this food. If you take his remnants, you will be released from the bondages of your family. Yeah, so they knew the intention of Raghunath Das Goswami. The Supreme Personality of Godhead always resides either in the heart or in the home of a devotee. This is sometimes hidden and sometimes manifest, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully independent. So when the Lord wants, he will show himself, and when not, it might be hidden. But this point the Raghava Pandit is making, that by eating this remnants, you'll be released from the bondage of your family. So this was the desire of Raghunath Das Goswami, and now being fulfilled by the mercy of the devotees and by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So the next day, when they all came together, Raghunath Das Goswami came before Lord Nityananda and offered the following prayers. He said, I am the lowest of men, the most sinful, fallen and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy, but if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain the shelter of his lotus feet. So by this pastime, Raghunath Das Goswami understood this principle. And now he's praying to Nityananda Prabhu to please give your mercy. Although I am unfit and greatly afraid to submit this plea, I nevertheless request you to be especially merciful towards me by granting me the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Placing your feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without difficulty. I pray for this benediction. Yeah, so he's pleading with Nityananda Prabhu to please give his mercy. After hearing this appeal by Raghunath Das, Lord Nityananda Prabhu smiled and told all the devotees, Raghunath Das's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heavens. Because of the mercy bestowed upon him by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. Therefore, let every one of you be merciful towards him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, so even though he didn't like the material entanglement, still he wasn't able to be freed from it. And this is the case we have sometimes. We have a bad habit. We have a difficulty in our minds or our ahankara, our ego. We may not like it, but still it happens. It comes again and again. Now and then, all of a sudden, something comes up that makes it difficult for us to do our devotional service, even though we don't like it. Right? So what's missing? The mercy of the devotees, to one be fully free. Right? So the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, the mercy of the devotees is what's missing, and that is what was missing in this pastime. Raghunath Das Goswami got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he didn't get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu until now. And therefore, he wasn't able to be freed from the bondage of his family. Even though he didn't like it, even though he had no taste for it. Nityananda Prabhu says that. Still, it was difficult. So you see again the principle here that we have to be in the mercy, get the mercy of the devotees in Nityananda Prabhu. Then we can be freed from the material entanglement and take advantage of the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Yeah? So it's a very important point. And we see in the pastime that follows, Raghunath Das Goswami, he goes home. He finally is able to escape home. And when he goes to Puri, his standard of renunciation is what he's most known for. Right? His standard of renunciation is something that was unheard of or unseen until that time. The pastime goes that he went to Puri, and he had a small bhajan kutir, and he began to go every day and beg for remnants there next to Jagannath, next to the temple of Lord Jagannath. And people would come and give him prasadam as they were coming out of the temple, and that's what he was eating. But then he began to think that I am taking their share because they see me in this hungry position. They're giving me what they could eat themselves, and so therefore I'm guilting them into giving me something. So better I go and not do that. So what he started doing is he would go to the trash pile where everyone threw their leaf plates after prasadam, and he would collect a few pieces of rice that were there, and he was eating that. But then he saw that the dogs and the cows were coming and licking that, and they were eating that. So he felt that I'm taking away from them what they want to eat, and I shouldn't do that either. So then he would go to the drain where after people washed their hands and their mouth, and he would find the little grains of rice in the drain. He would take those, he would wash those, and that's what he would eat. So you see, the standard of renunciation is not monkey renunciation like Mahaprabhu said earlier. This is not something he's artificially doing because other people will see. This is not something he's doing because he feels that, this is what real renunciation is. No, he really feels that I'm taking someone else's share, and I don't need to. I can take something else. Because he understood the mercy of prasadam. And so Mahaprabhu went to his house and forcibly took from his hand this Mahaprasadam rice that he took from the drain. And when Mahaprabhu ate that, he went into ecstasy. Right? And that's when he gave Raghunath Das Goswami the Govardhan Shila. The Gopal Shila or Govardhan Shila? Maharaji? Govardhan Shila, no? Yeah, Govardhan Shila. Right? So that is the true level of renunciation. And he got to there by the mercy of the devotees, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So this pastime is celebrated in such a big way because it's considered the time when Raghunath Das Goswami got the mercy of the devotees. When he got the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda put his foot on his head twice. Yeah? This is something so special. My Guru Maharaj sometimes says that we celebrate birthdays, but we should actually be celebrating the day when we get initiated. That should be the birthday. Because that's the true birth. That's the day when we're actually getting out of this material world. When we're connected to Krishna and given the chance. It's like if you're drowning in a sea and someone sends you a rope and pulls you out, that will be the greatest day of your life. The day you got saved from this material world. So that is the day when Raghunath Das Goswami got saved from this material world. And therefore it's celebrated in an eternal way. And it says that on that day, if you serve prasadam or receive prasadam, then you also have a chance to go back to Godhead. So on that day, you'll see many, many thousands of people are served prasadam and they come together on Panihati to this day. It's a huge, huge festival. And all over ISKCON, we celebrate it also, remembering the mercy that Nityananda Prabhu gave to Raghunath Das Goswami. Right? So it's a very beautiful, beautiful festival. And tomorrow we'll celebrate it in a small way. But please take the time, read more about this pastime, read more about Raghunath Das Goswami, read more about the mercy of Lord Nityananda, because without his mercy, we will not be able to be freed from this material world and attain the mercy of Krishna and Mahaprabhu. Yeah, without him. He takes care of us. There's other places in which Nityananda Prabhu is the guru, the Adi Guru, right? He's taking care of us so well. It says that if you commit Vaishnava Aparad, Nityananda Prabhu takes you away from the association of devotees. So you stop committing Vaishnava Aparad. If you commit offenses to the Holy Dham, Nityananda Prabhu takes you away from the place of the Holy Dham. So it's like a mother. A child is playing with fire, making mistakes, the mother takes him away. Fire is behaving nicely, okay, you can go back. The child is behaving nicely, you can go back. So Nityananda Prabhu has full control over our lives, but only if we give him control, only if we surrender unto him. Then he will take care of you just like a child. So don't hesitate, take advantage, and take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu and the devotees. So then we can get the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Yeah? So Sri Raghunath Das Goswami ki, Panihati Festival ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Janitai Gaur Pranandi. Any questions or comments? Most welcomed. Yes, bro.
Before you spoke about Advaitacharya suggesting to be internally detached and faithful, and while externally still behave normally to Raghunath Das Goswami.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said,
Yeah.
okay. And not do some false renunciation,
Yes.
without really understanding.
Yeah.
So I see sometimes though that we get a little faith and to remain in the same position or situation which we are with so many different pullings here and there, it's also very difficult because as we try maybe some spiritual practices or so, but then the pullings are so strong. So and I thought even though maybe some false renunciation, let's say, but by getting rid of some of the situation in which we are on, maybe anyway it could be a more conducive situation for our trying of spiritual practice. What do you think of this?
Yes, Prabhu, absolutely, but it still should be done not by your own just ideas. You see, here Raghunath Das Goswami had ideas of what he wants to do, but he didn't do them until he got the instruction from Nityananda Prabhu. He didn't do them until he got the instruction from Mahaprabhu. So when you have desire to radically change your situation because you feel it'll be more beneficial, taking advice from the devotees and from your spiritual master is still the key, right? So Mahaprabhu gave him the instruction that you stay in your situation and you develop your Krishna consciousness within, right? So that was the instruction from Mahaprabhu for him, right? So when you have a feeling that you need to change your situation, it's always good that you get advice from the other devotees. Therefore, it's not a monkey renunciation. You're actually talking it through, thinking it through, seeing what will be the best outcome, right? So it's the same principle. Nothing has to really change. The thing is that it shouldn't just be your mental speculation. Oh, I should stand on one leg and chant my rounds because they'll be more austere. No, this is it's your own inventing your own processes. So therefore, we don't make up our own ideas of what we should be doing. We can follow in the footsteps of other devotees. We can ask their guidance and their help and their association, right? And thereby we make our process. That's also why Srila Prabhupada sometimes would discourage devotees from making up their own prayers, their own songs. Sometimes he was very appreciative, right, of other devotees' songs and prayers and writings, but sometimes he would correct them and say, don't create your own moods, your own ideas of what devotional service is. That's why we sing the songs of our acharyas. That's why we follow the books, right? The other day we were speaking with Govindadev Prabhu and Ramananda Prabhu about deity worship, and the point was coming out that all the mantras we chant are prayers by other acharyas, by other devotees. It's not, like, how would I say, the procedure of puja is there from Sastra. But what mantras we chant is not something from the Rig Veda, from the Atharva Veda, anything like that. The mantras we chant are prayers from the acharyas that are telling us how to think about the Lord, how we should meditate on the Lord, what the Lord looks like, what He's doing, what His activities are doing. So the medium in which we are offering to the Lord is through the devotion of another devotee. Right? So therefore, we have the Purusha Shukta, that's one of the mediums for the 16 Upacharas, but Purvanga Karma, the preliminary activities for establishing oneself as a servant of the Lord, are all from different songs and verses from the Acharyas. So following the footsteps of devotees, getting their advice, and speaking openly, right, revealing one's heart in confidence, this is the process. And so this is what Mahaprabhu is meaning by not just artificially giving up something without actually understanding. We cannot judge for ourselves, so we should follow in the footsteps. Everyone? Subal Prabhu had a question.
Hare Krishna. Yes, actually I have two questions, if possible. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit how, like myself, for example, now, how I can more easily attain the mercy of devotees? Prasadam serving is for sure a great example, but maybe you can say a little bit more.
In a situation like we have in Simhachalam, sometimes we become very service-orientated and can become a little bit impersonal because we're just focusing on ourselves. And we don't really think about what other devotees are doing, what other devotees are going through, what other devotees are struggling with. And so therefore, another way to please devotees in our situation here is to, of course, try following more of the processes of exchanging love exchanges described by Rupa Goswami, right? Dadati pratigrihnati, whatever little gifts you can find, of course, you can give to one another, a flower, a sandesh, an extra sweet, finding a nice piece of cloth and other devotees could use, cleaning other places devotees use, helping someone else in their service is always extremely grateful. Devotees are always very grateful for that. But I would say the most important is to start revealing your mind in confidence and also hearing other devotees. So deepening relationships is a very strong way to please devotees, right? Developing greater relationships between one another is very pleasing, not only to the devotee you're interacting with, but between everyone else, because then the community becomes more enjoyable, more easy for the practice of devotional service. And so here in Simhachalam, we're very, very fortunate to be very much engaged in service, right? There's no scarcity in services that can be performed. I mean, you can walk anywhere and see something you need to do, just a matter how much time you have in a day. But developing relationships and speaking with devotees and seeing if there's any way they need help with anything, it sometimes can be a little lacking because we're just focused, I have so much to do myself, that I don't have time for anything else. And so therefore, any time you get, you kind of want to be on your own rather than going and speaking with someone, developing relationships, seeing what someone else is going through. And so that's something we could immediately do to increase our devotional service, to increase our pleasing devotees. And then another thing that we can do is, like in this case, when you reveal your mind and confidence, to ask advice. To ask advice like you're doing now, Prabhu. You're asking advice how to improve, how to change. But also just, you see something in the book that you don't fully understand or you want to understand more. Some small principle. Bring it up during prasadam time. Let's talk about it. Everyone talks about it. Everybody discusses it. And so therefore you're facilitating greater discussion and greater building of relationships between devotees by revealing your mind and by talking, communication is a very, very strong medium for developing relationships. So I would say here, right now, in the situation we have, this would be the strongest. Without it being too fake, oh, Prabhu, I have this gift for you, this gift for you, this gift for you, But we can develop stronger relationships in that way.
Second question, actually, you more or less answered also. There's one verse by Narada Muni where he says one should act like this with meeting a more advanced devotee, like this with the equal devotee, and like this with a junior devotee. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that when we meet someone equal, we get very proud of our activities. Maybe you can a little bit elaborate on this point, or meeting equals.
Well, yeah, I mean, between equals, there's always a slight element of rivalry. Right? It can be a little bit that, look how much I'm doing more than you, or he comes to boast about what he's doing, right? So when you're meeting someone equal, sometimes it's not danger, but it's natural that automatically a little bit of contest will arise, right? So the cure for that, or let's say the way in which we can negate that attitude, is by teamwork. By understanding that you're together in the process of devotional service, you're working together. So then appreciation can arise. Appreciation of someone else's activities. And at the same time, thinking oneself to be small, keeping oneself humble. And so the more you appreciate someone else's activities, the more you will be encouraged to do something better and greater. I have one friend that I always remember from very small. He had the habit of praising people. I'll just, oh, that's so cool. You drew a picture. And he even though he was the same age as me, he would glorify it like if he was my dad. Oh, that's so cool. Look at that. That's so nice. Look at the colors you put, and the tree looks so nice. And even though he was the same age, he would glorify it in that way. And it was so fun to tell him anything because he would make you feel so good about yourself. Right? It doesn't matter what you did. You made you cooked something, it wasn't that good. But he really genuinely would come and talk to you about it. And you cleaned an area, he would be, that's so amazing. And it wasn't something we did. It wasn't something normal amongst peers, amongst equals, to glorify someone for something he did. You know, to appreciate someone. It wasn't, I mean, amongst teenagers, people don't do that. But he would. And it was so meaningful to me. And I always, I wanted to imbibe that mood, but it wasn't something I really imbibed very well. And so sometimes I feel myself lacking to even thank people for their service, or to appreciate someone if he did something nice. And so it's something I always think about, and I'm trying to work on and to help to improve in that area, to think and appreciate more what someone else is doing, and then vocalize it. Not only internally appreciate it, but vocalize it. And then encourage him and encourage other people in that way. So to appreciate others is so important, and it really helps amongst equals to keep that attitude of humility, and at the same time you're encouraging each other. It's not that you're jumping at the dust of his lotus feet and making him feel distant. No, you're just appreciating each other's hard work. And therefore it's encouraging rather than ego building. And that verse is from Bhagavatam. Yeah, knowing how to interact with all the different levels of devotees comes with maturity, comes with dedication and devotional service. This, I don't know if Prabhupada speaks about it, but it's kind of like every living entity in this material world has a certain form, you should respect them, right? So you respect a tiger by keeping your distance. You respect a monkey by letting him be on the tree and not, waving bananas in his face, right? So devotees also have their way of respect and ways in which we can deal and to properly interact with them to get the best outcome of the dealings. Right? Chanakya Pandit says, what was that? Once be 5 paces away from any animal with horns, should be 20 paces away from any animal with claws, should be 100 paces away from any venomous entity, and should be in a different city from one who's envious. Right? So it's So if you have envy, it's the worst quality. So if you see another devotee and envy arises, you should immediately you're not in the right place. Fix your mind. Don't be like, oh, this guy, who do you think he is? He's so big, what is he doing? No. Yeah? Okay, any other questions or comments? No? Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki, Raghunath Das Goswami ki, Panihati Festival tomorrow ki. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi.